Welcome back to the very first episode of the Nihilist Coldbrew podcast. Say welcome back because some of you might have heard the pilot that I shot, and this is officially the very first episode. So, without further ado, I want to get the business out of the way. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere that you get your podcast from, you'll find me there. I'm gonna do a little recap on my week, I guess, because it's nice. I don't really talk to anybody about like how my whole week actually went, or at least from the last time I shot this last episode. Um, Speaking of that, I'm actually pretty excited about how like the pilot went. So I hope that that same momentum keeps going, and I want to thank all of you guys that actually watched it, listened to it, um, new people subscribed, and everything. Just it's a huge relief that it wasn't like a huge fucking um, bomb. Um, right. So aside from how the podcast went and the pilot went and everything, the week has been somewhat hectic, but pretty good. Um, Started running again. I hadn't actually had a good run in quite a few months. So without any fucking preparation, I just decided to go running 3.3 or 3.5 miles, give or take, the other day. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel pretty fucking good. So if you're thinking about running, go ahead and fucking do it. Just run. Don't time yourself. Don't try to run a mile in like a certain amount of minutes. Whatever. Just run. Like be Forrest fucking Gump. Just run. Just if you like running, just run, and it'll help you clear out your mind. Well, it helped me clear out my mind. It's I don't know. It's just great. It just felt fucking fantastic. I didn't even feel the heat after like the second mile. I don't even fucking feel my legs anymore. I just felt like running. But let's get on to the meat of the show. So, like I said last time, I'm gonna try to pick a topic to talk about and try to stay on par with it. And of course, like things are gonna come from it, hopefully. But anyway, this week I want to talk about childhood. It's a it's a very crucial and critical thing, and like as I'm getting older, I look at all the young kids now, like literally little kids, like literally literal kids, like under like 11 and under, see how they react, how they fucking act, like things they do and stuff like that, and it just puts into perspective how like I'm not even that old, like I grew up right before the internet fully took over. Like my childhood, it was right before the internet took over. I was in fucking like middle school, I think, when the first iPhone came out. Like that's fucking wild, Like, and then kids these days, like as soon as they're born, they're pretty much given a fucking iPad or a fucking smartphone. I didn't have my first smartphone until like 2009, 2010, give or take, and it was what was it? I think it was like a My Touch. Uh, and it was the GTC. I don't know if they're still around, or I don't know if that is still correct. GTC My Touch, but I definitely remember it was like an Android phone. My Touch HTC. Yeah, it was an HTC My Touch, and that shit, I was amazed. It was like the first touchscreen phone I got, and I was like 14, 15 when I first got it. And before that, I just had like a regular fucking. I had a BlackBerry. No, yeah. I was 15 when I got my first like um, touchscreen like smartphone thing. I was so fucking amazed. Um, but yeah, like nowadays, like kids don't like they kind of take that kind of stuff for granted. They're so desensitized by everything that everything is just given to them. And I mean, sure, like every parent has the right to be like, oh, I'm gonna give my kids the best that I can. Of course, everybody would want that. Anybody has kids would obviously want that. Just like my parents wanted that for me when I was growing up. But I remember probably like 10 years ago, like I would go outside like around Christmas time and like I wouldn't see kids really playing with toys anymore. Like when I grew up, the apartments I grew up in, I remember I had like a group of friends. Like no matter like what time of the year it was, like I was always outside. Like I grew up outside, and it was me and my cousins and my friend Pedro. Uh, Shout out Pedro if you're fucking watching, or listening. But yeah, it was always them and me, and we would we would get into all kinds of shit. Like it was like the most, it was like our formative years more or less, and I'm glad I grew up that way. Like I didn't grow up with like um what's some fucking call it, the video games. I didn't grow up with video games. I mean I play video games of course, but it never really like grabbed my attention. Like if I had the chance to go outside, I fucking went outside. I didn't spend like a lot of time like indoors, and I still don't. I don't really like being indoors. Like I feel weird. I feel trapped, and I've always felt that. And yeah, like we would fucking roll around in the mud, get into fights with the other kids. We would fight each other, and like it never like broke our friendship. You know, like I mean, two of them were my fucking cousins, but I mean, but yeah, I mean, you can fall out, you know, with family and stuff, but it never happened. Like we used to fight each other, beat the fuck out of each other. Same thing with my friend Pedro, like I said, and fuck, like I just saw them probably like less than a month ago, and like it's like nothing happened. Like prior to that, the last time all four of us hung out, man, I can't even think about it. I can't even think back to it, because you know, like when you grow up, like we all went to high school, we all went to different high schools, and we chose different paths and whatever, and we just kind of lost touch with each other. And but now as adults, you know, like we're able to sit down, have a beer, have a drink, and talk and reminisce, catch up, see what the fuck everybody's up to. Like it's great, you know, like. And if I if I would have grown up like with technology the way that kids grow up now, like I don't even know what kind of person I would be, you know. Like I think I can't I can't even fathom it. Like it's crazy how like that, like just growing up without like technology like at my fingertips, how much I feel like that affected me in the long run. Just realized this fucking looks like piss, but it's not. Kind of tastes like piss though. So I put some whiskey and I had some sweetened lemon sparkling water, and that mixture of the lemon and the fucking whiskey. Well, it's actually peach whiskey, so I think that's where I fucked up. But I don't know. It tastes like piss. It was like piss. But hey, I had a long day, so I fucking treat myself to a little bit of whiskey, love, mate. I don't fucking know. But yeah, uh, I think just that having this type of childhood I had like really impacted me a lot. And like the thing also is like I did my fair share of like video games and stuff, but it was always for like a little while, and it was never like on the internet. It was never. It was always with my cousins, you know, and like we all played soccer outside either way. But I mean, everything that happens in childhood is like impactful to how you grew up. Like obviously how you grew up, you know, like if you went through some traumatic shit, you're probably pretty fucked up. Or if you went through, I don't know, like fucking the worst things I could think. I don't know why I always think of like really like very dark things when I think about like shit that could happen to people. But I guess the reason why I do that is like that's that's my way of covering like all the bases of what could happen to somebody. Like if I think of the absolute worst, they're like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, okay, so it's a little bit of a dichotomy, if you must. of knowing that it could have been bad, but it's not, you know. But I just, I don't know. I always look back at my childhood, and I don't. I had a good childhood. I mean, I'm not saying I hate my life now or anything. It's all right, you know. It's improving either day, every day. You know, things are changing, but uh, yeah, I'm pretty glad I had the childhood I had. Like I had. I mean, not a lot of people can say this, and it's not like me, I guess, bragging or anything, or like trying to make anybody feel bad, but I grew up with both of my parents. They're still together. I didn't grow up in a very, uh, uppity neighborhood. Like I grew up in the hood, you know. But even still, like, and that's the other crazy thing. Like growing up in like, I guess the hood, it's like you see a lot of things, like a lot of, like, you see a lot of things that make people mature fast, you know. And I think more or less I had to grow up faster than some of my peers because of, you know, some some situation, you know, and maybe I'll talk about that situation later on. Like it's nothing like I didn't get fucking molested or anything. It's just like uh something else, you know, like maybe if I start like a fucking Patreon, I'll talk about that. Or if you guys want to know, just hit me up on the socials or comment, you know, build that rapport. But given that circumstance, I feel like I had to mature like a little bit faster than the rest of my peers. And also given the fact that I wasn't born here, you know, like so I don't really have that much family on this side of the world. Like I have a couple of uncles and some of my cousins, you know, the ones I grew up with, but the majority of my family is in Mexico, you know? So yes, I grew up with my parents, but I didn't grow up with like that love and tender care from like a grandparent, you know? Like fucking the last time I saw my grandparents was fucking 23 years ago, give or take. And I was a kid. I was a fucking baby, if anything. Like I was like 3 years old or some shit like that. 3 or 4. I don't know. And then they're already dead, you know? Like I always envy that for people. Like that's the thing that kind of like I guess fucked me up in the long run. Like I would always hear people being like, "Oh, my grandma this, my grandpa, I love my grandparents," and I always kind of felt kind of in the shadows, you know. Like I wish I would have felt that, you know. And like the way my parents talk about their parents, it's like fuck, you know. Like I wish I would have fucking grown up with that kind of love, you know, grandparent love. And but it's just circumstantial, you know. That's just the way things are, you know. We can control over it. We can't control it, but it kind of shapes my idea of how I kind of want my family to be in the future. Like hopefully, like I get to see my grandchildren. Hopefully I get to have kids before I die, get married. All that stuff. Hopefully I do. I don't know if I will. I'd like to, but it's life. Um, but yeah, I also feel like that kind of like that's kind of one shitty thing about like my childhood. But I mean, if you grow up with if you didn't grow up with your parents and you grew up with your grandparents, like that's still fucking dope. What's another thing about fucking childhood? Fucking making friends was always like it's still to this day, but mainly when I was a kid, like it always fascinated me, like some people are just like naturally liked, like some people just want to be around certain people because of the way they are, and some people it's harder for them to like make friends, and it kind of sucks for those people, like those kids. So I always tried to make friends with like the quiet kids when I was like in elementary school and middle school, and but I think I was also like a very social butterfly. I grew up very outspoken up until I was like up until I became an adult. After that I kind of eh, Actually, take it back. Up until probably a few years ago, I was pretty outgoing and shit. But because people suck, you know. Anyway, that's not the point of this conversation. But yeah, making friends, and like it's funny because like you make friends when you're a kid that you think you're gonna have for the rest of your life. You know, like kids in your class, kids in your neighborhood, and stuff like that. But you know, like it's they're just there to like make memories with, you know. And that's actually something I feel like a lot of people forget about. You know, not of course not everything is permanent and not everything is meant to last, but it's meant to make an impact on your life for the allotted time it was given, right? So yeah, life lessons. Not everything is meant to last, so enjoy it, and when it's gone, don't cry about it. Just accept it, because there's no point in crying over spilled milk. And it's funny because when I was a child, my dad, I remember, I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but I just remembered he looked at me and he was like, sometimes things happen in life, but if whatever happens has a solution, don't worry about it. If whatever happens doesn't have a solution, don't worry about it. Because if it has a solution, it's going to get fixed. So there's no point in worrying about it because it will get fixed. And if it doesn't have a solution, then there's no point in worrying about it because it's never going to get fixed. It's just pretty much a waste of time. So I think that's pretty cool. I think that was pretty solid life lesson that my dad gave me when I was a kid. What else happens when you're a child? Going through fucking puberty? That's fucking insane. Like I think it's like in fourth or fifth grade when like teachers take you or they separate the boys from the girls, and after that, I remember when it happened to us. At least in my class, they took us into like I don't remember if it was the auditorium or where it was, but they took all the boys, right? And they told us that you're gonna experience changes in your body and this and that. Don't freak out. It's part of nature. You're gonna grow hair. Your voice is gonna change. You're gonna hit growth spurts and all this other fantastic shit. And for the guys, for the boys, it's not that bad, you know. Like they just tell you, yeah, you're gonna grow hair on your nuts and around your dick, and you're gonna want to have sex. But with girls, fuck. I remember one of my friends. She came up to me after they took all the girls in, and I was like, dude, what they tell y'all? Cause I was like curious, you know, like after what I just fucking was told is gonna happen to my body, I was like, what was gonna happen to the girl's body? And this chick literally just told me, she's like, I'm gonna bleed for my private parts for the rest of my life. And she looked so broken. I felt so bad. So I think that's like another thing that like really like affects like people as kids. Cause like, you know, it's nature, you know, but at least you were prepared, somewhat prepared. But being a black sheep is also like a weird thing as a child, because like no matter what happens, like you're gonna stick out. Like it could be for whatever reason. Like you could be like hella weird. Sorry, my cat is just acting kind of weird. Shadow, come here. Psst, 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 psst. You guys want to see my cat? I'll show you my fucking cat. Come here, buddy. Psst, psst, psst. Hey, buddy. Say hello to the camera. This is my cat, Shadow. I've had him for quite a amount of years. I got him in 2015, so it's been 7 years. I've had this fucker for 7 years. I got him as a baby too. But yeah, like black sheeps, for whatever the fuck reason, like people are black sheeps in their family. Like it's pretty interesting because like there's people, like there's kids that like you obviously look at and you're like, yo, he's different from his family, you know, but not in a bad way, you know, like he just stands out. But then there's some people that you don't know they're the fucking black sheep until you talk to them, and then you're like, okay, I can see why you're different. It's kind of cool, you know. It's like those undercover um, weirdos, you know. Meant that in a good way. It's okay to be weird. What else happens in your childhood? Oh yeah, going through puberty. I didn't finish that fucking thought. Um, it's funny because like a lot of people uh, went through puberty hella early, and I think I was one of those fucking people. I remember I was 10 years old when I grew fucking pubes, and it almost felt like it was fucking overnight. Cause I remember one day just waking up and just seeing fucking bush. I was like, "Yo, what the fuck is this?" And like I didn't tell anybody, cause like part of me was like, okay, everybody's going through it. Like I was told, so there's really no point in me like telling people that like, yo, I have pubes, you know? Because in my head, everybody had pubes, but you know, it wasn't until year and a half later, 2 years, where my peers were like, yo, I finally got my pubes. And I was like, son, barely, dude. I've been having this shit for fucking 2 years, man. I'm a fucking pro when it comes to pubes. What do you want to know? No, but yeah, like I hit puberty hella early. I hit puberty in a weird fucking way though, cause I didn't fucking get tall. I'm not fucking a tall person. Um, I just grew a lot of hair at a young age. I remember I had a fucking like little mustache, like a peach fuzz mustache, when I was like in third or fourth grade. I remember one of my teachers used to call me bigotitos. It was cute. I had a huge crush on that teacher too. That's another fucking thing about being like about childhood, like having a crush on your fucking teachers. Like, that shit's fucking insane. Like I don't know what teachers feel. You know, like how do you go about that? Like how do you break a fucking little kid's like heart and be like, yo, son, you're like 20, 30 years younger than me. Like there's no fucking way. Like you're a fucking child and I'm an adult. But yeah, man, I remember I had a crush on my second grade teacher. I remember her name. Her name was Teresa Flores. We called her Miss Flores. And she was like the nicest fucking lady too. Oh man, I loved her. Uh, I remember I was just I was just the right height, so that when I hugged her, like my face was right in her tits. And I used to love hugging her. But yeah, you know, I was a kid. I had a crush on her. And funny enough, I ran into her. Uh, I don't know. I must have been like 20, and I fucked. No, I'm kidding. I didn't fuck her. I ran into her like I think it was like a KFC or something, and she looked damn the same, dude. She looked exactly the same. I was like, "Yo, what's up, Miss Flores?" And she just like stared at me, and she was like, "You're so grown up now." It was so nice, but yeah, like fucking the piece of shit teachers you had as a childhood, so that also fucking sticks with you. There was this teacher. He was actually my fourth grade teacher. His name was Mr. Parras, and he was like the teacher that he was a disciplinary teacher. So when and also here's another fucking thing about like growing up when I grew up. I still got hit in school by teachers, you know, like not every teacher, but like some really did. Cause my mom, she would literally go to my fucking teachers and be like, "Hey, if you need to hit him, you can hit him." And I understand, like, well, I get it. It's not cool, but I get it. And cause I was like a very hyperactive child. I had ADHD growing up. I still kind of do. I mean, I still do, but it's like a little bit more manageable. Um, but like when I was a kid, it was really bad. Like I could never sit still. Like I got my work done like hella fast. You know, like I was one of the first people to always finish my shit. But then after that, I got bored. Like they wouldn't give me enough work for me to do to like stay still. So I would get bored. I would get up. I would walk around. I would fucking, I don't know, just talk. And I would actually end up at that teacher's classroom a lot. And it was like before I got to fourth grade, before he was my fourth grade teacher. So by the time I was in fourth grade, like he already knew me. So it was kind of cool, kind of funny. But yeah, this teacher, he used to fucking make you like kind of do like a little like a squat type of thing, to where you're like squatting on the balls of your foot, and he would just like make you hop in place for like fucking like 20 minutes, or like he would just make you walk or run the blacktop like fucking 10 times. Um, those this one, well, these two punishments that he used to do, like you would just like hold books like on your hands, and like ever so often he would just like add a book, add a book, add a book, until like the fucking tower was up to here. And like when he felt like it was done, you were done, and he would just be like, all right, go back to your class. And there was another one where you would stick your arms out, and on the palms of your fucking hand, he would put fucking books as well. He wouldn't put as many books as like when you were holding it with two hands, but like just being like that for fucking not even fucking 2 minutes with a fucking like three textbooks, like that shit hurt. And if you fucking dropped your hands, like he would like smack you with a fucking ruler, and you would fucking lift that shit back up. But the funny thing is, he was like such a cool guy. Like that's so wild. Like he was so fucking strict, but he was so fucking cool at the same time. You know, like I guess like everybody has like two sides for themselves. Not in a bad way, but like everybody has a good side or bad side. If you get on somebody's bad side, usually, actually, I feel the nicest people have the darkest bad sides. Like if somebody's super nice and they flip, yo, that shit's bad, dude. And I think that's how he was. He was just like very strict, and he was like, he had a mean mug. He looked like a fucking, what's that fucking dog? Like a bulldog. But he was cool, you know. And I wonder, like, I don't think, oh, fuck, definitely not now. Like, there's no fucking way, like, kids are still being, like, brought up that way. One thing, though, like, I am so fucking glad I never got sent to, like, a religious school, because fuck that shit. I did have to go to, like, Sunday school, though, when I was a kid. That shit was weird, because of, I don't know. I stopped believing in God when I was, like, a fucking child. Not a child, I was probably 11 when I was like, yo, this shit kind of doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's another thing, like you about childhood, you start to figure things out, like you see what makes people tick, you see how to get things your way, you start tiptoeing the line of delinquency. A lot of firsts, well, I mean, yeah, those for last episode, but anyway, a lot of firsts, like, yeah, that's just fun. But yeah, like I don't think like nowadays like kids are still growing up with that kind of punishment by their teachers, because I feel like fuck anything like hits the wall, like use just as much as you fucking yell at a child, you're fucking probably getting fired, But and funny thing is though, like Catholic school, Christian schools, usually from what I've heard, are the ones that like treat the kids worse, and a lot of people end up being fucking shitheads when they get out of fucking religious school, Christian school, Catholic school, whatever. Like fucking Marilyn Manson, he went to fucking Christian school his whole fucking life, and look at that guy, man. Religion sure did not fail him. Yeah, man, teachers, that's fucking wild. Like you actually no. One thing that always tripped me out was looking at people that were like 20, 21, 22, and me thinking like, yo, they're adults. They have their shit figured out. But damn, when I hit 21, 22, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't have shit figured out. I still don't really have shit figured out. Like, maybe just a little bit, but just as much as the next guy, I guess. But yeah, that shit was also like fucking wild, What else happens in your childhood? You have your first heartbreak, like those little crushes you have on your classmates and stuff. A lot of people, it's like their first boyfriend, their first little girlfriends or whatever. Fucking man, I was a really early bloomer. I had my first kiss when I was in 4th grade at that teacher's fucking classroom too, Mr. Parras. It was like towards the end of the year, right? And Like towards the end of the year, like teachers just stopped giving a fuck. Right. So it was towards the end of the year when teachers just like kind of stopped giving a fuck about what kids are doing, and I don't remember exactly if the teacher had like gone out for the day, like if he wasn't there, or if he just stepped out. I think, you know what? I think it was that he had stepped out, cause right. So there was this chick, right? Like the little girl I had a crush on, and she was like, "Hey, like I want to kiss you and stuff," and I was like nervous, and I just remembered our little friends were like, "Oh, go behind the desk, like the teacher's desk, and we'll keep a lookout to make sure, like, to let you guys know when he comes back." And we were like, "All right, cool, 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 cool." So we like hurry back to the desk, and we're underneath the desk. It was like one of those old wooden teacher desks, like the massive fucking ones, and we're just like in the leg area, right? So we're there, and like our friends are like right there, like being like, "Hey, come on, you guys, kiss, kiss, kiss." And I just remember looking at her like super nervous, and then I leaned forward and she leaned forward, and then, man, my very first kiss happened. But yeah, it was hella early in my life. I don't know. I was a really early bloomer, but we turned out fine. Another thing about childhood that I loved and I miss is Halloween. Like dressing up, meeting up with your friends, your cousins, siblings, whatever. Like the whole fucking month of October, trying to figure out what you're gonna dress up as, where you're gonna go, and then finally going out, like seeing all the fucking houses. Like if if you want to go to if you're gonna want to get good candy and like see really badass houses, you would go to like rich neighborhoods and stuff, because they went all the fuck out, like huge mansions and shit. They always made like their own little scary like haunted house, like little trail leading up to their door. And sometimes if you got lucky, you got like full size candy bars. And I remember a few times they actually gave us money, cause fuck, I mean it was the early 2000s and shit, so people made like it was, I don't know, inflation and shit, right? But yeah, that shit was fucking wild. I miss that shit. What the fuck else happens when you're a child? Um, Going to the doctor as a kid always sucked. It always made me nervous, cause well, the dentist more than the doctor, I would say, cause dentist hurts a lot more. Like, and I never really, well, I've had a few like surgeries where I needed stitches and shit, but it didn't really hurt, like I have scars and the stitches still, but it wasn't as painful as going to the dentist. And the thing I hated the most about the dentist was when they would like scrape in between your teeth to clean shit out, or when they would like drill in your teeth and shit to get like cavities out and shit like that. I fucking hated it. And then I fucking had braces. I wasn't really a child anymore. I was like a teenager, but I mean it's still part of my childhood. And I had braces. So fucking, if you don't have braces, like I guess you don't. I mean you wouldn't understand, but the whole like the most annoying thing about braces is not just the pain, it's just that you can't fucking eat shit, and then like your mouth is always uncomfortable, and whenever you close your mouth, you feel like you're never closing it fully because you have like so much shit. So you always feels like you're trying to overdo it just to make sure your mouth stays closed, but it's always closed. It just feels like that. And I remember one time they didn't put the wire in my fucking braces right in the back. So in the back of your teeth when you have braces, there's a little crown that goes in your teeth, and it has like a little hook, right? And on that hook, usually they that's where they kind of tie the wiring around, right? And either they tie it around there or it like goes into like a little hole. I don't remember which one it was, but point is it stuck out, and while I was asleep, and then it made a fucking hole in my mouth. And I remember I woke up like hella scared because like my face was sticky, and I looked down and I just see like a pool of blood on my fucking bed, and I freaked the fuck out. I'm like, I feel my face. I'm like, I don't have any cuts or anything, but like there's blood all over me. And then I just remember kind of like feeling my mouth around, and like I just spit out blood, and then I freak out a little bit more. because the whole braces thing, I was like, fuck, maybe one of them fell out, one of my tooth fell out or something, one of my teeth. And so I rushed over to the restroom and I just look and I just see fucking blood like just coming through the back of my mouth, like in my gums area. Like, it just like scraped the fucking hole, dude. That shit was fucking terrible. And then having to wear the little rubber bands that go from one tooth to another tooth, that shit was fucking annoying. But yeah, dentists, they just, I don't know, and then when they numb your fucking mouth, the fucking huge ass syringes they use just to fucking, yeah, fucking, at least for me, dentist was a lot worse of an experience than going to the doctor. Because at the doctor, when I was a kid, I broke my arm twice. One when I was in Mexico when I was like 3, and then again here when I was 5 or 6. And I broke it in the same spot, and it looks kind of fucked up. I might show y'all at some point. But yeah, I had like fucking, I think 13 stitches. And then when I was in kindergarten, there was a ball stuck in a tree, and it was recess, and we were all just trying to get it down. So we're just throwing shit at it. Well, no, I wasn't part of the kids that got the ball stuck in there. I saw it, and then I tried to walk away from it or past it, but somebody threw a rock, and it landed on the back of my head. And I just remember it getting hit in the head, and I was like, fuck, that hurt. And then I was just holding my head, like where the fucking rock landed. And I'm walking to the teacher because I was like, yo, this shit hurts. And then somebody's like, there's like something red. And I'm like, what? And I see my hand is just fucking covered in blood. And I freaked the fuck out and I just started crying. And I think that was when I was like, I was kindergarten, so 5, give or take. And then I remember I had to call my dad, and then he had to come pick me up from school, take me to the doctor, and then they just stationed me right up. And it's funny because I can never find that scar whenever I look for it. But it's like, I don't know if it was up here, back here, or somewhere back there though. And funny enough, probably a year and some change later, I remember I was at church with my parents, and it was after mass, and like, but mom wanted us to take pictures in front of the altar. So me and my sister, we go up there, we were at the foot of the altar, they're taking pictures, and then my mom's like, go up the stairs, the little steps, and then get closer to the, I don't know, wherever the fucking priest does the whole mass thing. And as I was going up, I missed one of the steps, and I just, eat shit. And right away, like, I think it's on somewhere on this side, fucking scar. That's where I fucking landed. And then I just get up and just right away just blood. And I was like, fuck. That's when I started. Actually, I think that's when I kind of started questioning like religion and shit. Like, how the fuck? Like, I'm in your fucking holy place, God, and you fucking let this shit happen to me. I'm only a fucking kid. But yeah, it was a trip. But yeah, I mean, it didn't really hurt that bad. Like, yeah, I just fell, it hurt. I got stitches, and then that's it. Nothing really painful. But other than that, just fucking dentist. I fucking hate the dentist, and I take really good care of my teeth, so I don't have to go back to the fucking dentist. I have insurance for it, which is kind of redundant. Anyway, I guess that's part of adulthood, which is probably going to be a different episode. Another thing, I've always found it funny that a lot of people always say like coffee's not good for children. So like for the longest time, I think that's why so many fucking people nowadays drink so much coffee, because when they're kids, every adult is like, no, you can't drink coffee, you're a kid, this and that. But in actuality, I don't think there's any fucking thing wrong with coffee. I mean, of course you're gonna have a fucking hyped up kid, but other than that, I don't think it'll cause any like internal damage health wise. But yeah, and then finding out like that you can get a reaction from like adults by what you say, like wanting and learning to crave like that kind of attention from adults and your peers is kind of also like a very weird thing, because like I don't know if like everybody, when you're a kid you always want attention, and it's weird. It was not weird. It's interesting. I need to stop saying it's weird when things aren't weird. Weird or just interesting. I don't know. But that whole the just kids always wanting attention, like it always fascinates me because it goes away sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't, you know. And then you have um, adults that are also still always wanting to have attention, and sometimes when kids want a lot of attention, I'm guessing it's from very huge lack of attention from their parents, which is a really fucked up situation to be in. Um, but doesn't always have to be that way. Sometimes people just like attention. Like fucking look at me. I'm fucking sitting in front of my fucking phone recording myself talking to literally no one yet until this shit comes out just for fucking attention. Isn't that fucking weird? I don't know. I still have trouble trying to accept it as a whole and for what it is. But yeah, like kids would do wild shit. Like I would do wild shit when I was a kid just for attention. I remember I was always the wildest child of my cousins in our little group. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I just always wanted attention, and then also like I didn't fit in when I first came to the U.S. because I wasn't from here, you know. So like having to like gain the respect of my cousins and like wanting them to like me and shit, and wanting like everybody to like me because I'm not from here, and I have to show you guys that like, hey, I'm a cool kid. Just because I'm not from here doesn't mean, you know, you have to treat me like a weird fucking kid, even though I was a weird kid. But yeah, that whole fucking fitting in thing, like that shit just never goes away. Like it goes on for fucking ever, and then leads into adulthood, and you just still don't know where to fit in, how to fit in. So just kind of wing it. And then you find people across, like along the way, that make you feel like you belong somewhere, and it's nice. So I guess it does go away, but everybody's temporary. So once those people go away, you're lost again. You don't know where to go. You don't know where you belong. And yeah. And on that depressing note, I bid you guys a good night. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on this video. Everyone on social media. Thanks for all the love that you guys showed me in the last episode. And huge shout out to everybody across the world that tunes in and listens. That shit is insanely fascinating how far this shit gets. But yeah, see you guys next time.